Tonight on The Big Story, it could be a long road to recovery for parts of Mindanao. The cost to lives and property of a powerful quake there is just too enormous. The magnitude 7.8 tremor has also left survivors reeling. Quake trauma is real. At the Senate, members of the majority are taking one threat seriously, calling it a clear and present danger.
Kanya ma'am, naksidente po si Rene. Nalunod po. Yun, malaki talagang tanong ko, ba't napunta dun sa lagat? Kasi basketball naman yung anak ko, hindi naman swimming.
And the mother of the late basketball rising star, Rene Baterbonia, has a lot of questions, but no clear answers are coming just yet. Good evening, I'm Ces Orenia Drilon. We begin with a devastation wrought by the 7.8 magnitude quake in several provinces in Mindanao. A day after the catastrophe, the damage and casualties it left behind have now come to light. Mobile journalist Daniel Dayaw with tonight's big story.
On the day after the massive quake struck parts of Mindanao, the death toll has climbed to at least 37, according to the Office of Civil Defense. Data released early Tuesday, June 9, showed that 456 individuals were injured, while 4 remain missing. 33 of the fatalities after the magnitude 7.8 tremor were recorded in Soxargen, while 4 were reported in the Davao region. The earthquake has affected close to 18,000 families across the region. More than 1,000 aftershocks have been recorded, with the strongest measuring magnitude 6.7. Authorities continue to monitor the situation and provide assistance to affected communities. Meanwhile, General Santos City has been placed under a state of calamity as classes and business operations remain suspended in affected areas. The June 8 tremor knocked out not just buildings but power, water, and communications lines in the province. On Tuesday, this is all that's left of that grocery store in Barangay Kalumpang. Search and rescue operations are underway for those believed to be buried or trapped under the rubble. K9 units have been deployed to look for victims. Among those believed to be underneath is Juslinda's son, Joey.
Sabi sa akin, bukas na lang magbalik na kayo kay mag-retrieval, hindi na rescue. Kaya wala ng heartbeat. Mahirap tanggapin sa nanay yung anak nandoon hanggang ngayon. Ewan ko, ang panawagan ko, sir, gusto lang ko nga ngayon magkuha na doon para nga manahimik na kami.
Rescue teams continue to dig through collapsed buildings despite the danger to themselves amid unrelenting aftershocks.
Pagdating po ng ating structural engineer, nakita po nila kung gaano po siya kadelikado sa loob. So, as advice na po, hindi na po talaga safe na mag-ano sa loob. So, ang sabi niya po, kailangan po natin ng mga heavy equipments para makuha na po talaga yung mga debris sa taas.
Aside from buildings, roadways, and other infrastructure in General Santos also sustained severe damage. The Jensen San Jose Tiboli Road remains unpassable. Public Works Secretary Vince Dizon was on site to inspect collapsed public structures and clearing operations. 7 hospitals in the province were also damaged, making it harder for the injured to get treated. At the General Santos Medical Center, patients are currently staying in tents or under trees. Among them is Riza May, who got pinned by a collapsed wall while trying to flee with her children.
Nadaganan kami ng kahoy at mga semento. Yung sanggol ko mabuti lang siya. Pero yung panganay ko nasugatan sa noo. Niyakap ko talaga silang dalawa para hindi mapuruhan. Tapos natumba kami, yung paa ko ang nabali.
In Sarangani Province, roads and buildings were also hit hard by the earthquake. The Sarangani Disaster Office says 43 homes and establishments were severely damaged.
Ongoing assessment, validation sa mga lugar na most affected itong earthquake. Kasi may mga provincial roads, national roads yung damage, even bridges na nag-collapse.
The Sapumasla Bridge, which connects the town of Glan and Malapatan, also broke in half. Residents now resort to trigger boats to cross.
Kung gani, mahal pa, daghan kay dako kay mamobayran. Tapos pag abot dito, wapay tubig, Diyos ko Ginoo.
Evacuees across the region also remain in centers, afraid to return home.
Kung ako, ma'am,
gusto ko na talagang umuwi sa amin. Pero wala akong magagawa kasi kung uuwi ako, Wala din kaming matutulugan kasi nakakatakot sa loob. Sa labas ng paligid namin, nagkabitak na ang lupa. Nakakatakot na kasi lumambot din ang lupa kasi malapit lang kami sa dagat.
But more than the threat of another big quake, residents face an immediate and bigger problem, the lack of food and water.
Manawagan po ako sa mga sa ating mahal na gobyerno na sana tulungan po kami sa aming sitwasyon ngayon.
The problem is, airports also sustain damage, making it hard to transport relief supplies. The General Santos International Airport is currently out of commission and is expected to remain so in the next couple of weeks. Only military and humanitarian flights will be allowed until repairs are completed. With commercial flights to Jensen suspended, around 2,000 passengers were stranded at NAIA. Passengers to Jensen are advised to take flights to either Davao International Airport or Cotabato Airport and travel by land to General Santos City. Kapatid Mobile Journal Daniel Dayaw, we are One News.
Let's get more details on the ground right now. And joining us live from General Santos City is Mobile Journal Evan Tarinque. Evan, kapapangyari lang ang malakas na aftershock dyan. Pakikwento mo sa amin.
Tama ka dun, Ses. No? Kanina, around 6 p.m., talagang naramdaman natin yung isang malakas na aftershock dito nga sa General Santos. Yung tipong talagang itutulak ka at mararamdaman mo yung pagyanig ng lupa, ng sahig na parang dinuduyan ka. No? Ganun kalakas yung pagtama ng aftershocks kanina. Kaya naman yung ilang mga kapatid natin na nandito, malapit doon sa mga buildings o kaya nasa loob ng mga buildings, talagang lumabas ng kanilang mga buildings para naman kahit paano nandun sila sa mas safe na lugar dahil hanggang sa ngayon kasi Ses, no, isa talaga doon sa kinakatakot ng ilang mga residente dito yung pagtama ng isang aftershock at saka gumuho yung ilang mga buildings. So yan yung pangunahing fear. Kaya naman yung ilan hanggang ngayon nagsistay sa labas ng kanilang mga bahay at doon muna nagpapalipas ng araw, Ses.
May update na ba? Tumaas ba ang death toll?
Ses, currently, nandoon pa rin, according doon sa nakuha nating datos kaninang umaga, nasa 13 yung death toll dito sa may General Santos. Pero kasabay niyan, Ses, 4 pa rin kasi yung missing na hinahanap ng otoridad. Kanina napuntahan natin yung isang site kung saan currently tinatry nila kunin yung 2 identified na missing person doon sa loob ng isang supermarket. Pero ayon doon sa mga rescue operation teams, pahirapan dahil talagang delikado yung lugar at according nga doon sa city engineer, talagang red zone na yung mga ito at talagang delikado na. Kaya naman talagang dahan-dahan sila at kinakailangan na raw ng malalaking machines para talagang makatulong sa pag-retrieve doon sa mga nawawala pang mga individuals.
So, pag sumasapit ang gabi, tinitigil muna itong search and rescue, tama?
Tama ka dyan, Ses. No? Isa talaga doon sa talagang priority rin kasi ng search and rescue teams. Siyempre, yung safety nung kanilang mga kawani, yung mga kasama nila na tumutulong maghanap doon pa sa mga nawawala. Pero according nga sa kanila, panalangin nila, sana hindi na madagdagan pa itong death toll na meron currently ngayon. No? Dahil yun nga, 4 pa yung hinahanap, 13 yung death toll at nasa 66 kasi yung mga buildings na talagang nasira at naapektuhan nitong paglindol. Kaya so far, talagang minomonitor nila bawat building, nagpapadala sila ng mga city engineers papunta doon sa mga identified na mga buildings na talagang tumama or merong structural damage. Yes?
Pero time is of the essence. Pwede pang makakuha sila ng mga buhay na survivors kung bibilisan nila yung trabaho. May dadating bang tulong na sinasabi mong kailangan nila ng malaking equipment, etc.?
Ses, yan yung struggle ng rescue operation teams ngayon, no? Kung saan kukuha yung local government ng malalaking equipment para nga matulungan sila doon sa pagkukuha or paghahanap nitong mga missing individuals pa. No? Pero Ses, currently na-identify na raw naman ng mga rescue teams yung possible na location nitong 2 missing individuals doon mismo sa loob ng isang supermarket. No? Gamit yan ng mga K9 units doon on the ground. So na-identify na nila. So basically, meron na silang general na lugar kung saan pwedeng matagpuan nga itong mga missing persons pa na ito. Ses?
Kamusta naman ang kuryente? Na ibalik na ba? O kailan, ano ang timeline nila para ma-restore ang power?
Yes, currently, no, fortunately, medyo may mga ilaw na ngayon. O, pakita lang natin konti. No? So may mga street lamps na gumagana for now. No? Pero marami kasi yung ilang mga buildings na ito, gaya ng anong building dito sa likuran ko. Ito, isa kasi ito doon sa mga damaged building na binigyan ng red zone. So ibig sabihin, bawal na pumasok sa loob ng building na ito yung kahit na sinong individual dahil delikado na at talagang isang malakas na aftershocks lang posibleng gumuho yung building na ito. Kaya makikita natin yung mga damages dito, nasa walls, makikita natin butas-butas at na-disconnect na rin yung hagdanan sa building na yan. So far yan yung na-monitor natin kanina na binigyan ng red tag na bawal na pumasok yung mga kapatid natin. Pero yung ilang mga nakausap natin na nung umaga, dahil medyo wala pang ang kuryente, limited yung kuryente, talagang bumili ng mga maliliit na solar panels, no, para kahit papano itong solar panels na ito makatulong makapag-charge doon sa kanilang mga cellphone at makapag-communicate sila doon sa kanilang mga mahal sa buhay sa labas ng Gensan. Ito rin yung ginagamit nila pang-power ng mga electric fan na maliliit para kahit papano presko naman daw sila doon sa kanilang lugar. Ses?
Ngayon, ano pa ba ang pangangailangan ng mga kapatid natin dyan sa Gensan?
Ses, according doon sa mga nakausap nating mga apektado, no, ang pinakamalaking challenge daw talaga sa kanila is yung pagkain, pati na rin yung potable water, no, kasi isa yan doon sa pagkain kasi, Ses, no, talagang karamihan kasi ng mga businesses dito sa Gensan talagang sarado dahil nga doon sa epekto nung paglindol. Pero according sa kanila, may mga tindahan naman, meron namang mga stores sa palengke na nag-open, pero pa konti-konti lang daw. So talagang ang diskarte nila, maaga sila pupunta para kahit papano, meron na silang pang-ready na iluluto na lang sa kaninang sa araw na ito. Kanina nga nakausap natin, nakahalo pa natin sa tanghalian yung isang pamilya dito na adobong paa yung kanilang inulam, no? Pero aside from that, no, Ses, talagang yun yung kanilang challenge ngayon, talagang yung pagkain, pati na rin yung potable water. Pero may mga nakita naman tayong mga relief goods na nakaready na at ipapamigay na yung mga ito. Ses?
Ngayon parang hindi ba masyadong extensive ang damage sa mga residential areas? Sila ay nakakabalik sa kanilang mga bahay? Or marami ba ang evacuation centers?
Ses, karamihan ng mga residente dito, no, ang pinili nila is mag-stay na lang sila sa labas on an open field, no. Karamihan nasa open field, nagtatayo sila ng kanilang mga tent at doon magpapalipas ng araw, no. Dahil yung iran talaga sa kanila yung talagang takot baka daw matrap kasi sila sa loob ng bahay kung sakali man tumama yung isa pang malakas na aftershock. So yan yung talagang main na talagang ikinakatakot ng ating mga kapatid dito. Pero so far, according naman sa kanila, aantayin lang daw nila yung pag-check ng mga city engineers or yung mga engineers ng kanilang mga bahay kung na ma-check kung okay ba, stable ba yung pundasyon ng kanilang mga bahay at pag na-check na raw at okay naman daw, babalik na rin sila sa kanilang mga tahanan. Ses?
Okay, Evan, kasi ang nakita natin noong nagkaroon ng lindol sa Cebu, yun ang problema. Walang maayos na tent, walang privacy yung mga pamilya doon. Yan ba ay isa sa mga pangangailangan nila dyan?
Ses, may mga tents dito na portable tents, yung may mga heights sa gilid. So ito usually yung ginagamit talaga sa mga evacuation center ng mga kunyari mga nasunugan, mga ganong scenario. So itong mga tents na to kahit papaano merong privacy, no, na masasabi natin. Pero usually kasi itong mga tents na to bukas to sa ibabaw So kung medyo matangkad ka, more than 6 feet siguro, baka makikita mo kung sino-sino or ano yung laman nung tent na yon. Pero so far, no, Ses, yung ilan naman mas komportable na daw, at least mas safe sila on their perspective, mas ligtas sila doon sa kanilang mga situation na yan kaysa doon sa loob ng kanilang mga bahay na hindi pa chinecheck yung structural integrity ng mga ito. Ses?
Okay, thank you for your report and keep safe. Mobile Journal, Evan Tarinque. You are watching The Big Story on One News. When we return, we have the heartbreaking end to the dream of a young basketball superstar. His mother is now asking, what really happened to Rene Baterbonia?
Nung pumunta kami dito sa Maynila, sabi nila, nakausapin kami nila. Nung nag-orient sila, hindi talaga nila sinabi na magkakaroon ng training na ganun. Kasi kung sinabi pa lang nila, matanong ko na sa anak ko, kaya mo ba yun? Para madesisyonan namin. Hindi ko alam ba't ganun ang nangyari.
It is now being validated and it has been deferred to the proper authorities. Sa mga nagtatangka, dahil nga may nauulinigan po na ganitong mga security threats, kayo man ay senador o ordinaryong tao na nagsasagawa nito, hindi po kayo makakaligtas sa kamay ng batas.
There's Palace Press Officer Claire Castro addressing supposedly credible threats to Senate security. We will have more on this later on in the program. Now at this point, we zoom in on the drowning of rising basketball stars Rene Baterbonia and Divine Adili. Initial probe says the deaths were an accident, but police are not closing the case just yet. Mobile Journal Denise Valdesancho with this report.
The Ateneo de Manila University community is mourning the loss of two of its student athletes following a drowning incident in Dipaculao, Aurora on June 8. 21-year-old Divine Adili competed for the Blue Eagles in UAAP Season 88, while 19-year-old Rene Baterbonia recently represented Davao in the 2026 Palarong Pambansa and was set to suit up for Ateneo in UAAP Season 89. According to the Aurora Police Provincial Office, the incident happened at a beach resort in Barangay Lipit, Dipaculao at around 2:40 in the afternoon during a team-building activity.
Siguro po ng team activity ang mga players doon po sa may harap ng beach resort. At base po sa salaysay ng ating mga nakausap na kasama nila, ay meron po sila activity na kung saan lumalakad po yung mga players natin so sa dagat, sa may tabing dagat, mga nasa hanggang kita po yung lalim ng tubig. At bigla na lang po silang napunta sa malalim na parte.
Initial findings show the players were swept away by a strong current into deeper waters. Local police, the Philippine Coast Guard, and emergency responders immediately conducted search and rescue operations. Authorities said 2 lifeguards were on standby at the time of the incident, while the Dipaculao local government has launched a comprehensive inspection and investigation. Police also noted that the team had previously held activities at the same resort.
Yung nga po, may pang-ilang activity na po ito nila sa same resort. Kaya po talaga pong alam nila yung mga kodong kondisyon ng dagat at ano yung mga dapat gawin habang may mga activities na dagat.
Authorities emphasized that the gathering was a private team activity. Based on the ongoing investigation, police said there is no indication of foul play.
Base po sa ating nakuhang salaysay ng mga kasama niya ay ito pong insidente na ito ay talaga pong purely accident. So natural accident po yung pangyayari. Hindi po talaga inaasahan at wala po tayong nakikitang foul play sa aksidente na ito.
In a statement, Police Regional Office 3 extended its deepest condolences to the families, friends, teammates, and the entire Ateneo community. PRO3 said the investigation remains ongoing and urged the public to avoid speculation while authorities complete their fact-finding. The agency also reminded beachgoers and tourists to follow safety advisories and exercise extra caution when engaging in water activities, especially in areas known for strong currents.
Pinapaalala na bantayan yung ating mga turista, bigyan lagi, palalahan lagi, lalo na po yung mga naliligo sa dagat.
As the investigation continues, tributes have poured in from across the Philippine sports community. The Samahang Basketball ng Pilipinas and the University Athletic Association of the Philippines both expressed grief over the deaths of Adili and Baterbonia. Ateneo de Davao University also mourned the loss of Baterbonia, one of its most decorated student athletes. A memorial mass for Baterbonia and Adili is set to be held on June 12 at the Senior High School Chapel of Ateneo de Davao University. Mobile journalist Denise Valdesancho. We are One News.
Meanwhile, the family of Rene Baterbonia has a lot of questions about the young Cagers drowning. Let's bring in News 5's Mon Gualvez now. Mon, ikaw ay nasa Arlington, I understand. And so sinalubong na ba talaga ng university officials ang pamilya kahit na ano ba talaga, paano nila nalaman unang-una ang nangyari kay Rene?
You know what, Ces? It's really heartbreaking when we faced the family in the airport when they arrived here in Manila from Agusan del Sur. This is the family of Rene Baterbonia, one of the two student athletes who were drowned during their training or team building activity in Dipakulaw, Aurora. Initially, ang sabi ng nanay na walang tigil sa pag-iyak kanina, isang beses lang daw may tumawag sa kanya mula sa staff ng Ateneo at sinabi nga na nasawi na ang kanyang anak. Ang ikinasasakit lang ng kanyang loob, wala na raw mga sumunod pang updates patungkol sa nangyari. No? So mula nung kahapon ng bandang alas 5 hanggang kanina ng tanghali, wala na talagang sumunod na nagbigay pa ng update sa kanya. At ang mga nalalaman niya mga impormasyon ay galing na sa mga post sa social media. Kaya nga masama ang loob ng nanay mismo ni Rene Clert Baterbonia sa sinapit ng anak dahil nagpaalam naman daw talaga ito na magkakaroon nga sila ng ilang araw na training para nga dito sa men's basketball team ng Ateneo, pero hindi daw niya alam na military training pala ang dadanasin ng kanyang pangalawang anak na incoming first-year college student ng Ateneo de Manila University. Ang isa pa, sa ikinasasama ng loob lang din nila, talagang walang-wala kasi ang pamilya. Ang huling usapan daw nila ng kanyang anak, iaahon niya ang kanyang pamilya sa kahirapan. Bumiyahe ang pamilya mula Agusan del Sur patungo dito sa Maynila na hindi galing sa school ang pagpaprovide. Ito ay pinakiusap pa nila sa provincial government ng Agusan del Sur. Ang sinasabi nila, mula daw kahapon na sinabi lamang na nasawi ang kanyang anak, wala na nga daw nag-reach out pa sa kanila. Kaya yung pagpunta nila rito, sinagot pa ng pamahalaan. Pakinggan natin yung pahayag ng nanay ni Rene.
Kahit isang picture, wala silang send sa akin. Wala man silang sabi, ma'am, ito na yung anak mo, nakukuha na namin sa dagat. Tapos, dadali na namin ito sa Maynila. Wala talaga. Wala silang sinasabi sa akin. Tapos, biniyahin nila yung anak ko. Hindi man lang nila binihisan, walang damit. Yung shirt basa. Tapos, wala pang staff na sumasama sa yung nagsundo sa kanila na kulinarya yun. Malaki talagang tanong ko, ba't napunta dun sa dagat? Kasi basketball naman yung anak ko, hindi naman swimming. Masakit. Sobrang support ko mula bata hanggang ngayon. Tapos ginanon lang nila.
Okay, Mon, tama ba ang nabasa kong statement mula sa Ateneo na sila ay nakiramay dyan sa Arlington sa pamilya ni Rene? Nakita mo ba yon? Nangyari ba yon?
Yes, Ces, tama naman. Tama. Oo, when we arrived here in the funeral homes sa Quezon City, ilang minutes lamang dumating naman yung mga administrators or mga head ng Ateneo de Manila University na sila mismong nakiramay sa pamilya. Pero other than that, wala na. No? So kumbaga talagang initially, yun yung pinakaunang pakikipag-ugnayan ng university sa family na nakita rin naman namin kanina dito sa Arlington. And then, ang sinasabi din naman no, sa statement na yan, talagang fully and they are actually closely coordinating with the family, not only of Baterbonia, but also of the Nigerian National Divine Adili, na kung saan sinabi naman ito na yung family naman ng Nigerian National is already coordinating with the university para nga madala naman yung remains niya pabalik sa kanilang bansa. Ses.
The police have initially ruled out foul play, Mon, pero meron namang investigasyon pa rin nagaganap no, sa under naman the Philippine Sports Commission to pinpoint culpability kung meron bang negligence na nangyari dito sa kaso ni Rene at ni Divine. Ano ba ang nalalaman mo tungkol
Ses,
dito?
Initially, Exactly, Ses. Initially, ang sabi nga ng PNP, wala raw foul play. Pero continuous pa rin naman daw yung kanilang investigasyon sa insidente. Sa katunayan, nangunguna na rin sa investigasyon ang PNP CIDG Central Office patungkol nga dito sa nangyaring insidente. At kasama rin nila nag-iimbestiga separately naman ang National Bureau of Investigation or NBI na silang nanguna sa ginawang autopsy this afternoon. So the autopsy was actually initiated. Talagang piniyagan naman or nagbigay ng permission ang family para nga makita kung nagkaroon ba talaga ng foul play or nagkaroon ng pagpapabaya no, sa ginawang team building activity at kung ano talagang nangyari doon sa Dipakulaw, Aurora. And then sabi mo nga, no, tama, ang PSC or Philippine Sports Commission is also having their separate investigation regarding the matter. In fact, they already created what you call Sports Stakeholders Panel na silang nakikipagtulungan din sa investigasyon naman ng mga authorities. And then ito yung tututok naman para makita kung yung mga trainings, mga practices, yung mga umiiral na mga policies regarding this one is actually tama pa at saka nalalagay pa rin sa yung safety naman ng mga athletes or hindi na isasaalang-alang yung kaligtasan ng mga athletes. So right now, natapos na yung autopsy. So ang inaabangan na lamang is kung ibabiyahe na itong labi ni Baterbonia going back to the Agusan del Sur. Kasi sila lang naman, or yun lang naman yung in-undergo sa autopsy, yung labi or remains of the Nigerian national, hindi ginalaw dahil hindi naman nagbigay ng permission yung family today.
So,
Ses.
Uunahin muna yung autopsiya ng NBI bago dalin yung labi pauwi sa saan ba sila? Agusan, ano? Ang pamilya Baterbonia.
Yes. Tama. Oo, uunahin mo nang matapos yung autopsy and then medyo challenging lang ngayon yung pagbiyahe kasi nga isasabay nila sana ito sa C-130 plane para nga libre din dahil talagang walang-wala at saka para mabilis ding maibiyahe yung remains of the said student athlete going back to their province. Pero hindi pa, yun ang medyo crucial ngayon kung kailan maibabiyahe ka agad dahil nga sa situation in Mindanao after the strong earthquake that hit them. Ses.
Wala bang tulong na ipaabot ang Ateneo dito sa pagdala ng remains, etc. sa gagawing, syempre, rights doon sa sa Agusan?
Walang kinonfirm ang family if the Ateneo de Manila University confirmed about walang kinonfirm yung family about the said help kung sakasakaling dadalhin nga itong remains of Baterbonia going to Agusan del Sur. Pero ang Ateneo de Manila University, with their latest statement, ang sinabi lang nila is they are actually closely coordinating with the family with all the help that they need. Pero yun nga, medyo conflicting kasi. Sinasabi kasi ng family so far, wala pa daw talagang initial na tulong silang natatanggap other than sa pakikiramay ng university officials. Ses.
Okay, wag naman natin kalimutan si Divine. So, ang mga remains naman ni Divine Adili ay dadalhin sa Nigeria?
That is the initial information that we had. Ang sinasabi din ng Ateneo de Manila University with their latest statement is they are already coordinating with the families of Divina Dili, with their parents, specifically na talagang madala yung labi naman ito sa Nigeria. Actually, merong ilang mga Nigerian national din kanina na nandito, and they are saying that they are coordinating also with the embassy para nga madali nang maibiyahe, no? Kasi meron silang specific or certain culture para nga sa remains naman ng Nigerian national. Ses.
Nakakadurog ng puso ang kwento nito, Mon. Maraming salamat sa iyong update. That was News 5's Mon Gualvez reporting to us live from Quezon City. And now a look at the other stories making headlines this Tuesday. The wrap from mobile journalist Fatima Baduria.
Fewer Filipinos were jobless in April compared to the previous month. That's according to the Philippine Statistics Authority, which reported the unemployment rate easing to 4.7% in April from 5% in March. This translates to about 2.41 million jobless Filipinos. It's the first time this year that the unemployment rate fell below 5%, despite expectations of a weaker labor market amid the energy crisis. Meanwhile, underemployment rose to 15.2%, with more than 7 million Filipinos seeking additional work or longer hours. As for the employment rate, it edged up to 95.3% in April, translating to nearly 49 million employed individuals. Manila's 6th District Representative Benny Abante has filed libel and cyber libel complaints against the 18 alleged bagmen of former lawmaker Zaldico, their lawyer Levi Baligod, and Sunshine Radio. That's over allegations that he received cash payoffs in suitcases from government contractors. Abante called the claims false and maliciously fabricated. The lawmaker also criticized the respondents for taking the allegations public instead of bringing them through proper legal channels. Dismissed Police Lieutenant Colonel Rafael Dumlao III has been arrested over the 2016 kidnap slay of South Korean businessman Ji Ik-ju. PNP CIDG operatives served the warrant before dawn at a house in Pasong Tamo, Quezon City, where Dumlao was found alone. Authorities said he did not resist arrest. Recall that G was abducted in Angeles City in October 2016 under the guise of an anti-drug operation. He was later strangled inside Camp Crame while his remains were cremated and ashes flushed down a toilet. Dumlao, meanwhile, was acquitted in 2023, but the Court of Appeals reversed that ruling in 2024, citing grave abuse of discretion. It also found Dumlao guilty of kidnapping and killing G. Interior Secretary John Vic Remulla said the former PNP officer had been under surveillance for 3 weeks. He added that investigators are now looking into how he evaded authorities.
Pursue all angles and all leads to see how he escaped, who he was with, and to backtrack. Makikita naman sa phone niya yan.
And preparations are now underway for President Bongbong Marcos's 5th State of the Nation address. The first interagency meeting was held today with Senate Secretary Attorney Renato Bantug Jr. in attendance under Acting Senate President Win Gatchalian. Bantug even joked about his return to the Senate in his opening remarks.
I never really imagined that I'd be back here again, especially under these circumstances. No? But obviously I wasn't given much time to miss all of you. So whether you like it or not, I'm back. I'd like to thank you for sending me the invitation to be here again. Maraming salamat.
Meanwhile, representatives from the House, Office of the President, AFP, PNP, and MMDA also attended the meeting. House Secretary General Cheloy Garafil said this year's SONA will be kept simple, similar to last year's. President Marcos is set to deliver his 5th address on July 27.
We're still hoping to hear from the OCD to give us the big picture on the damage of the Mindanao quake, but we're still trying to contact them. But this is a big story in One News, and coming up, the National Bureau of Investigation has cited a threat to Senate security. And the new majority bloc is taking it seriously. The details when we return. Stay tuned.
Kung sa una ko, kung maabutin sa balay, asa po may magstay
Gusto ko na talagang umuwi sa amin. Pero wala akong magagawa kasi kung uuwi ako, wala din kaming matutulugan kasi nakakatakot sa loob.
Ongoing assessment, validation sa mga lugar na most affected itong earthquake. Kasi may mga provincial roads, national roads yung damage, even bridges na nag-collapse.
Manawagan po ako sa mga sa ating mahal na gobyerno na sana tulungan po kami sa aming sitwasyon ngayon.
After the panic and confusion caused by the powerful earthquake on Monday, many survivors are now facing its emotional and psychological toll. One expert says acknowledging that fear is the first step toward recovery. News 5's JC Cosico has this story.
Ay dapat gusto nako 101% para welcome gid kaayo ang atoang school year 2026-2027 again.
Students and teachers of Safan Integrated School in Alabel, Sarangani were in the middle of their flag raising ceremony on Monday, June 8, when suddenly kids went running, scrambling for safety. The excitement for what's supposed to be the first day of classes turned into panic, confusion, and fear. The trigger, a magnitude 7.8 earthquake.
Just pray.
Oh my God!
In Jesus' name. In Jesus' name. In Jesus' name.
Oh my God, Lord!
In Jesus' name.
Video uploader and school teacher Zaina Batikan says it was her first time to experience a quake of such intensity.
Tapos yung galaw ng lupa is parang nararamdaman mo yung ganun po. And pas niya po talaga na hindi ka po makatayo, na parang out of balance ka po talaga kapag nakatayo ka po. Actually po may mga bata nga po kaming nawalan po ng malay kasi sa sobrang hilo po.
While no one was hurt when the quake ceased, it left fear and trauma to Zaina and their students.
Yung iba po, ang liliit pa po ang liliit. Tapos, nataranta din po kasi sila. The good thing po kasi is andun yung school head po namin. Napaka-calm niya and nililid niya po kami kung ano pong gagawin. Kasi nag-rattle na po yung lahat And alam niyo po yung takot pa rin na kapag may konting galaw lang, akala mo lindol na agad, nangangatog pa rin yung tuhod mo, yung kalamnan mo parang hindi mo ma-explain.
Classes in Alabel town are now suspended until further notice. For experts, this experience cannot be easily dismissed and forgotten.
The mere fact na merong overwhelming experience, ang mangyayari doon is that matitrigger yung isip mo na since nangyari siya noon, pwede siyang maulit-ulit. We don't like situations where we are not in control.
What's important at any point is to be able to cope and recover from the fear that arose from traumatic incidents. De Jesus says people should not keep the fear to themselves.
So pag kunyari may nakakausap ka, may napaglalabasan ka ng nararamdaman mo, malaking bagay yun. Kasi ang nagagawa nun is that hindi muna naiipon yung tension sa sarili mo. Pag umapaw ka, you lose functionality, you lose the capability for effectiveness. Pwedeng umabot sa puntong yun. Wala kang matinong tulog, wala kang matinong appetite, hirap kang gawin yung mga bagay na dati nagagawa mo naman ng tama.
Parent support and reassurance can also help children with earthquake trauma.
Una sa lahat, children will take their cue from their parents. So pag nakita mo na ang magulang mo ay napanghihinaan ng loob, pati ikaw panghihinaan ng loob. Pangalawa, the parent should allow the child to express. Ipakita mo sa bata that he or she is not alone. Kasi ang nangyayari doon, the only time that the child feels powerless is kapag mag-isa siya.
How about parents also experiencing fear?
Hindi ka makakaiyak sa harapan ng anak mo kasi ayaw mo maging mahina anak mo. So pag tapos ka na sa anak mo, dun ka naman ngayon sumangguni sa kapwa mo adult. Kayo-kayo naman ang magdadamayan.
But once fear crosses the line and begins to disrupt one's daily routine, De Jesus says it's important to seek professional support. Anchoring oneself to reality will also help deal with earthquake trauma.
At the end of every day, you recognize that you have survived. One day na naman na natapos natin, another day na na-survive natin, lumalakas ngayon yung loob mo. We need to fight the anxiety with reality. So you need to always tell the person, look at yourself now. Look at what has happened to you. Maayos ka pa rin, matatag ka pa din.
For News 5, JC Cosico, We Are One News.
And here's another big story tonight, a supposed threat to the Senate's security. As a result, employees of the upper chamber will work from home on June 10 and 11, that's tomorrow and Thursday. When the clock struck 5 this afternoon, everyone inside the Senate premises were asked to leave. Sergeant-at-Arms Alfredo Soto Corpus stayed behind, along with staff from OSAA, to make an extensive sweep of the complex.
Inikot ko lang yung piri-piri natin, no? Parang tinatawag namin to security survey and inspection. Nandito pa rin kami para to secure the institution. Heightened yung aming security right now because of the info that the NBI director gave the senators. I'm working with the different intelligence community to really validate yung information. I was with the meeting with them, and all the those present there suggested that.
Now, earlier in the day, Senate President Pro Tempore Win Gatchalian pointed to a threat as cited by NBI Director Melvin Matibag. That's during the Blue Ribbon Committee meeting presided by Senator Erwin Tulfo yesterday. There's now constant coordination with intelligence agencies, and Gatchalian said their priority is the security of 24 senators and the 2,000 employees of the institution. Senator Tito Soto also heard about the threat and agrees that serious considerations must be taken. He said, quote, lock down the Senate if the threat presents a clear and present danger. But Senator Ping Lacson has more dire information, though still sketchy and raw. He said the level of frustration within the armed services has reached up to battalion and regional levels. Meanwhile, Senator Alan Peter Cayetano questioned why this information was allegedly not shared with them. He asked about the nature of the threat. And as for Malacanang, it has this warning to anyone planning to threaten the government security.
It is now being validated and it has been deferred to the proper authorities. Sa mga nagtatangka, dahil nga may nauulinigan po na ganitong mga security threats, kayo man ay senador o ordinaryong tao na nagsasagawa nito, hindi po kayo makakaligtas sa kamay ng batas.
In another development, a new genetically modified rice variety has cleared a key biosafety hurdle in the Philippines. The Bureau of Plant Industry says it is designed to contain higher levels of iron and zinc. Mobile journalist Ray Vicente tells us more.
Heads up for farmers and consumers. The Bureau of Plant Industry has issued a biosafety permit for the commercial propagation of Hyzer 39 genetically modified rice. Hyzer 39 rice aims to address 30 to 40% of daily iron and zinc needs of the target demographics. This particularly includes children below ages of 5, pregnant, and lactating women.
Kung i-compare to sa regular rice, yung high iron and zinc rice or tinatawag natin na Hyzer, it contains about 5 times more iron and twice as much zinc. And it is intended as a complementary intervention to help address anemia and stunting, and it aims to provide 30% of the estimated average requirement or EAR for iron and 40% EAR for zinc among target populations.
The target zinc and iron levels was achieved using genes from rice and species of Asian wild apple, known as Malus baccata.
We do not expect it to pose greater risk to human and animal health or the environment. Furthermore, during the public consultation po, wala rin pong na-receive ang BPI ng any objections. Yung human body natin, it needs iron to make hemoglobin and myoglobin. While zinc naman po, on the other hand, activates enzymes of protein metabolism and serves as cofactor for up to 300 enzymes in the human body.
Biosafety approval signifies that the product is safe for distribution and consumption, yet its availability in the Philippine market is still not up at the moment.
At the moment, ang alam ko po, yung PhilRice is not yet deploying this product since meron pa silang internal, I think seed increase po. Nag-continue yung breeding nila and yung field development.
With the seed multiplication and registration in waiting line, the Bureau echoed that Heiser 39 will not directly affect the rice production in the country. It is only designed to complement existing efforts to control iron and zinc deficiencies of the Filipinos.
Itong Heiser is not expected to adversely affect current rice production, yung trade or consumption in the Philippines, or yung agricultural practices na gagawin ng mga farmers dito sa high iron and zinc rice is just the same.
So,
and also yung cultural management, agricultural practices or production, it will not differ from the conventional one.
Kapatid Ray Vicente, we are One News.
Now, before we go, the Transportation Department wants a ₱1 billion budget boost for bike lanes and active transport hubs. But transport advocates warn that longer lanes mean nothing if riders aren't safe. Mobile journalist Evan Tarinque reports.
The Department of Transportation, or DOTR, is seeking more than ₱1 billion to develop active transport hubs and infrastructure across the country. The agency says the funding will help make roads safer and more inclusive for cyclists and pedestrians during their daily commutes. By 2028, DOTR is targeting the construction of more than 2,400 kilometers of bike lanes nationwide. The department is also building end-of-trip facilities and upgrading PUV stops with Wi-Fi and charging stations to improve the commuting experience.
Tayo rin ay nagsikap na makakuha ng legislative support para magkaroon ng maayos at sapat na pondo ang ating mga road safety-related policies and programs.
While the government plans to expand active transport infrastructure, Advocate says the focus should not be on quantity alone. They point out that many existing bike lanes still rely on painted markings and plastic bollards, which offer limited protection and are easily damaged. For them, the priority should be building protected and connected bike lane networks that can be safely used by people of all ages and skill levels.
May tinatawag na 8 to 80 yung when it comes to active transport. Dapat it should be safe for children as young as 8 years old and to the elderly as old as 80. Dapat yun yung pagbasihan kung safe ba and inclusive yung active transport networks natin.
Ladyong also stressed the need for government agencies to use road crash data to identify high-risk areas and guide infrastructure improvements. He said safety measures should be targeted at locations where crashes frequently occur to help prevent future accidents and encourage more people to choose active transport.
So pag ginawa natin mas maayos yung active transport networks natin, yung mga taong nahihirapan sa public transport, lalo na yung mga taong nahihirapan sa public transport, mas madali sa kanilang isipin na pwede pala sila magbisikleta or pwede nilang subukan magbisikleta.
Advocates say improving active transport infrastructure could provide millions of Filipinos with private vehicles a safer, a more affordable, and more accessible way to travel. Kapatid Mobile Journal Ivan Tarinque, we are One News.
And those are the big stories this Tuesday, June 9. I'm Ces Orenia Drilon. Kapatid, we are One News, your side all the time. Good night.